Hello everybody. Thank you for joining me again. This is AC. Continuing on our journey of self-love, self-peace, and creating a positive environment for ourselves and the people around us. Haven't created a video in a few days, and it is because I've been a little at odds with precisely how I was going to move forward in doing my videos. A lot of that has to do with inner turmoil that was going on within myself. I've struggled a bit because obviously my goal, I originally stated, was to be a witness for people that are interested in watching my videos. And in doing that, obviously I need to be myself because I'm witnessing about the struggles that I've been through in my life and how I've overcome those struggles, and how me overcoming those struggles might be of assistance to other people who are actually viewing the video. And I don't know, after I've gotten feedback from family, loved ones, friends, and I've just kind of been bouncing around as to precisely how I was going to go about this. I think I've struggled with the information that I was going to present, because it's like, I don't want to offend, but then I'm thinking to myself, okay, excuse my French, how the hell am I going to offend somebody being myself? Because that's the entire reason for doing these doggone videos in the first place. If I'm not going to be myself, then why am I going to do it? What's the purpose? In thinking about all of that, I kind of think about me having a conversation with my partner during my brunch last summer on my birthday, and mentioning the death of a 9-year-old African-American child. 9-year-old, a beautiful, intelligent black kid who actually hung himself. And it made me emotional at the time to think about it. It made me emotional when I read the story, and I thought about how I was struggling at the time, dealing with my identity, dealing with my sexuality, dealing with so many different issues, dealing with the loss of a job, which in my heart I know I was retaliated against as a healthcare employee. And it was just so many things that went through my mind. And then on top of that, a couple of months ago, I lost another friend who ended up passing or dying from anorexia. And it's just knowing that this individual struggled, finding out later that this individual struggled with long-term depression, rather I should say chronic depression, and the feelings of not being loved. Obviously, the person didn't love himself. It blows my mind. And I'm sorry that I'm doing the and actually, I'm not sorry. The reality of it is what it is. And if you don't you don't like it, turn the video off. If you do have that choice, that is an option. But through watching this person deteriorate over several months, of course, several long months, and realizing it was such a parallel, because I thought about how much I was struggling with my own identity and my sexuality, the feelings about myself, my feelings of self-love. And at one point in that particular situation, I was angry. I was really angry because I felt like this individual was giving up. This person had given up. And I understand that I can't live someone else's journey, but I know for myself, through all of the things that I have been through and I experienced in my life, I'm not going to give up. And I talk about a few minutes ago being myself. And I spent so much of my life trying to please other people as I grew up because I didn't feel comfortable with me. I spent so much of my life trying to make sure that everybody else was happy and everybody else was comfortable. And that's why I said with these videos, if you don't like it, turn it off. Find something else to look at. Because for myself, I turned 50 years old last month. And when I think about it, it blows my mind to think that I haven't spent a lot of my life loving me or caring about me. And excuse me, kind of get emotional, but I think about my friend that I lost to anorexia, and it just it was such a powerful experience because I saw him moving in this direction, and I was angry because I felt like he had given up, but I was also angry because I felt powerless to do anything to stop what was happening. And I'll get back to my point in all of this is being myself. Growing up as a black man is one thing, but I think dealing with sexuality is something that is completely different. Dealing with health throws another aspect into the realm of things. But I realized last summer, after taking a trip, my first international trip to the Dominican Republic, and as I sat at a table with friends and a partner and enjoying a wonderful meal, and as I sat in this beautiful restaurant, and I remember I could hear clearly that there was a couple sitting several tables across, and at one point I got up to go to the bathroom, and I heard the gentleman laughing and talking, and it said something to the effect of, I look like a girl. And I didn't know that, I guess it was talking about my, a lot of people have commented about my waist size because my waist size is small. It looks small. To be honest, when I put on jeans, I don't think it is. I don't really put a lot into it. But the point of the matter is that's what was said or communicated. And when I went to the bathroom and I got through in the bathroom, I thought to myself, you know something? I am so sick and tired of being the poster child for so many people's insecurities. So sick and freaking tired. I'm going to refrain from using profanity. I don't want this to be a video that's laced with profanity, because I would like for people of all ages to be able to view it. But it just really angered me that essentially, and I knew what it was because both of these two gentlemen were sitting there with their wives, and both of the men were extremely obese, and their wives were attractive. And I said, you know something, I am so sick and tired of people dumping their insecurities off on me. So I did what I did. I finished in the bathroom. I washed my hands and I unbuttoned my shirt. And mind you, I had on a linen shirt. I had on linen pants, and I unbuttoned my shirt. Now, obviously, you know, I'd actually had a couple of drinks and I was feeling pretty good. But when I walked out, I, you know, I walked back into the restaurant. I noticed that there were a lot of people who actually looked when I walked into the restaurant. There was, it seemed like all of the entire restaurant on the left side turned around and looked at me. But I walked in, and the two gentlemen, the look on the two gentlemen's face was, it was absolutely priceless. And as I got back to the table and I sat down at the table, I kind of watched out of the corner of my eye as the two wives of the two gentlemen kept looking at me. And then one looked at the other, the one wife looked at the other wife, and she waved her hand as if she was fanning her face because I guess she got a heat flash from viewing my chest. And so they must have probably carried on for about 5 to 10 minutes. The husbands were pretty much, I guess they got kind of discombobulated, angry, whatever you want to call it, but they were, I think they were pretty much, long and the short of it, they were upset with their wives because they kept looking at me, and then they told, I guess they went back and forth, and then they basically got up and left. And I tell that story because that was the first time in my life dealing with somebody else who's battling insecurity. I fought fire with fire. And it was a wonderful experience. It was a liberating experience. It truly was. It really was. And I made the decision at that point that I was not going to be the poster child for other people's insecurities. I also realized that it's very funny because I originally started out saying or mentioning being a witness for, and that is something that I desire to do in a spiritual sense, being a witness for other people. I want to be a witness for other people because I know I do have a connection with God. I know that I've known that I've had a connection with God since the day that I was baptized. And I was baptized around 6 or 7 years old. I recall being in front of the church and the pastor saying what he had to say, and putting his hands on me and sprinkling the holy water on me. And I will never forget how later on that day, my middle sister and my cousin picked at me because I was crying in front of the church, and they picked at me because they said, "Oh, you were crying because you were afraid." And it's so funny because they thought I was afraid, but I was crying because of what I felt. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't explain to you what it was. I knew I felt this energy. I felt this presence. The only thing that I can explain in a spiritual sense, that it was God. God was there. He was with me. He was sharing my space. And so I was crying because of what I felt. And what I felt good. It, I think I wasn't crying because I was afraid, but I think I was a bit nervous because I didn't understand what I was feeling. But what I felt was of God. And ever since then, the thing that I truly understand is I've had a connection that is a connection that I have. And I also know from that connection that I have been, in a spiritual sense, I have been targeted probably a lot more than the standard person would be. I think if anybody out there who truly has a spiritual connection with the Lord understands, if you know and you pay attention, sometimes you feel like you might get hit a little harder than the next person and you don't quite understand why that is. Let me tell you something if you don't understand it yourself. The reality of it is that the enemy is not interested in somebody that doesn't have a connection with the Lord. But the enemy has a serious problem with those of us who do have a connection with God. And so the enemy is going to do what the enemy can to try to wreak havoc in your life. And for me, the thing that I know when I've dealt with my sexuality, when I've dealt with my identity, when I've dealt with self-love, it's been those things over the course of my entire life that the enemy has tried to come in and ease into to wreak havoc in my life. And so, as I mentioned in my first video, here I am at 50 years old, and I have survived. I have made it. I have made it. I'm here. I'm still on a journey. And with the Lord's blessing, I have many years to go. But I said I made it because through the struggle of pain, shame, guilt, self-condemnation, I made it through and I'm here. And it may have taken me 40 plus years to get to the point to understand that I need to love myself and care about myself. It may have taken me 40 years to get here, but I'm here. And so this is the reason why I want to encourage other people that are out here in the world. It breaks my heart. It absolutely breaks my heart that a 9-year-old child, this beautiful child with his curly hair, would take his life, hang himself for any reason. He had absolutely, but he did it because he was bullied in school. And the thing that I know as an adult is it doesn't get any better because we get older. It doesn't get any better because we get older. And unfortunately, in today's times, it's gotten a lot worse. But with social media and all the things that have gone on, look at who's running the country. the things seem to be in complete and total chaos at this point. But that's where I'm making the choice to do something to try to encourage anybody I can who's willing to listen. Because after hearing the story of the 9-year-old and then losing my friend to anorexia because of the fact that this beautiful, intelligent man didn't love himself enough to be able to say, everybody can go to hell. You can excuse, like I said, excuse me, but everybody can go jump in the lake because I'm going to care about myself if I don't do anything else. If I don't do anything else. If I don't do anything, if I don't care, I'm going to care about myself. then if I can impart any words to make someone feel a little better, then I will do that. If it's one person, and I've done 1,000 videos. If it's only one individual, then I feel like I've done something to help. But my struggle with trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to go or what I'm going to do, I'm going to provide information, and we'll see how it goes. But I think I will go back and take a look at some of the things that I talk about and hit on different subject matter that I've communicated about. You know, I remember growing up as a kid, and even as an adult, people constantly said, "Oh, you know, you're skinny, you're skinny, you're skinny, you're skinny." So often I heard, you know, junior high school, my middle sister, and myself, constantly being referred to as skinny, skinny, skinny. How is it there's such a double standard? Because it's okay for somebody to call somebody skinny, but if you call somebody fat, that's an insult. I don't get that. I don't understand. And I've had, you know, family members who constantly ridiculed myself and my middle sister about our body structure, and we went through the thing of trying to eat and gain weight and do all this stuff. And the reality of it is, God is like, okay, this is the body I gave you. This is the body you got. Live with it and love it, because this is what you got. This is what you got. And to think that we're ridiculed, and now when I think about it, you know, having these family members say, "Oh, you skinny, you skinny." No, you fat. That's what the situation is. You fat, and you don't feel good about yourself. So then, in other words, what you need to do is you need to turn around and try to make somebody else feel bad because of how you feel about yourself. And that's how insecurity works, people. That's how insecurity works. That's how it works. All of the people who made reference to my appearance, whether I shaped like a girl, looked like a girl, when I was younger, if I acted this way or if I acted that way, whatever the case is, so often it's about how people feel about themselves every single time, without doubt. The crazy thing for me is, and that's why I said this is where the spiritual realm comes into play. I was at a party years ago and had someone follow me around and make reference to how I looked, that I looked like a girl and other things, and try to get other people to chime in. But by the end of the night, this person was trying to get with me. At the end of the night, how much sense does that make? That doesn't even make any sense to me. That just seems really, it seems kind of crazy, but again, I call it the devil at work. I call it the devil at work. You know, there was something else I was thinking about, and I've lost my train of thought. You know, but anyway, that will happen. It will happen in these videos. Again, if you don't like it, move on. You know, I can't. I can't. You know, I think it's fine if people want to be critics, but again, I think with all of the stuff that's going on in the world, I have the ability to provide a little positive insight about the things that happened in my life and the fact that I made it through. And if you're out there and you're having a struggle, any type of struggle with your